Okay, welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to include a new assertion library called Chai. Chai is an assertion library. Remember, I looked at the default Node.js assertion library and I found that it was lacking in functionality. But Chai is great, especially because of a plugin that will make these tests so much cleaner. I'm a big fan of it. So basically what I'm going to do here, cool. So I'm going to install Chai, and it's very easy. Just npm install say Chai, and then save. I'm going to save that as my dependency. And then I'm going to install a plugin for Chai. And that plugin is called Chai as promised. Let me see if they have anything about it here. Chai as promised. There you go. It's another it has its own page, and npm install Chai as promised. And the thing is, it can deal with promises, which is brilliant. It's revolutionary. I love it. So I'm just going to show you why. Because if you remember, part of the tricky aspect of working with Selenium WebDriver and JavaScript are the promises. So right now, if I ran an assertion against these methods here, and I said something like, assert. Let me zoom in one more time, and I'm going to close this panel and this panel. Expand this again. Yeah, if I said like assert, assert equal blah blah about something. Oh, this is the wrong. Oops. So if I call this var btn and assert something about btn, that the opacity changes to 1, this will not work, because when I run this method, all that we see, request button, is all that we get are these methods being called get CSS value and is enabled. But remember, these will just return promises. And so all this is going to get back, instead of getting, actually it gets a string, instead of getting 1 when it checks for the opacity, it's going to get a managed promise, and it's going to get this whole like text and whatever, and it's going to fail the assertions. What's beautiful about Chai as promised is that it can actually extract a value from the promise and then run an assertion, and that is beautiful, a beautiful thing. So now that I've installed Chai and Chai as promised, I can go here and basically call Chai, require Chai, and then var Chai as promised, require Chai as promised. Now, I'm going to use the should syntax from Chai, so should will equal Chai.should. And then for Chai to use this plugin here, I'm gonna have to do. We're gonna have to call Chai dot use Chai as promised. All right, and now check this out. Var btn, and then here this was var alert for the alert success. So I'm going to store these in variables. Okay, and now I can just do this button opacity, because in the home page from this request button method I return an object that has the key opacity and then the key of state. So button dot opacity should eventually equal 1. All right, and the eventually here is the key, because instead of that just tells it to wait for the promise to resolve, and then it can read that value and run the assertion. For this here button, this was for the state of whether it was enabled or not. So button state should eventually be true, because I'm calling here, I'm just calling is enabled, and all is enabled does is return a boolean, true or false. So the button state should eventually be true, and the state of it being enabled. So maybe I could have called this enabled to be more readable, but whatever. All right, and then alert should, so let me just remember what I did here. So I request and click, and then I get the text. Oh, I want to assert not just that it's present, but that it has some kind of text in it. So then alert should eventually, and I can, instead of doing equal, I can do contain, because if I do equal, since a new invitation key is generated for each invite, the full string that's contained in that alert success is different every time because of the new key. So I can just say that it contains, and if I remember properly, it says thank you. So should contain thank you. Okay, that's literally it. So what was that? Okay, so now I can run this again, and this should work with no issue. This should just run these assertions. Let me make sure I didn't make any mistakes here. This right. Find. The selector is correct. The value is correct. Find, click, return. Okay. As long as you return, for each of these methods that you want to test again, make sure you return something to assert. So here I have two different things, because I want two tests, one that tests the opacity change, and one that tests the state of it being enabled or not. And here I just have one thing I want to return, and I just want to verify the text. So now Mocha test. That worked. That worked as well, and that test passed. Now, just to make sure that we're not getting false positives, here, let's say equal 5. And here, let's say equal false. And here, let's say equal thanks. And run these again. Okay, test, fail, fail, and fail again. And now we get our assertion errors. See, assertion error. 0 passing through failing. Expected 1 to equal 5 because it got 1 from extracting the CSS value of the opacity. But I told it to expect the CSS value to be 5, but instead it found 1. So expected 1 to equal 5. Expected true to be false because I told it that the button should not be enabled, but it was, and it found that it was true. And this is, look at that. I got the text from the alert, and it should have included this string here. Thanks, but it did not. So now we know that things work. And that's the beauty of using Chai as promised, running your tests in Webdriver JS. That's literally all there is to it. I was gonna make another video about this, but maybe because this is a short video, no, I want to be able to keep this playlist structured. So in the next video, I'm just gonna do some more cleanup here. I'll tell you what that is in the next video actually, but thanks for watching, and watch the next video where I just clean these tests up a little bit and create some new files that'll make things a little more structured and modular.